Think of a future where you're able to game any high-end AAA title on your budget smartphone, maybe a budget Android tablet, a budget laptop, maybe a MacBook Air, or your Android TV. That's exactly the kind of innovation that Nvidia has finally brought in India with Nvidia GeForce Now. Now, related to this, I had a lot of questions. That is why I went to John to ask these questions. So here's a fun interview that I had with him. Hi, John. Welcome to the Validated Show.
Thank you.
I have a lot of questions with the new tech that you've announced. And
Okay.
the very first question is that where does GeForce now manage to reduce the latency the most? Is it like encoding? Is it server processing or network routing?
So the big thing with us is the bits of the pipeline we can control. So the server, we do a lot of work to reduce the latency there. So we have reflex.
Yeah.
We have a network-based kind of reflex technology that prioritizes the packets. We also have our ConnectX-7 NICs, which are enterprise-grade networking hardware that we can offload a lot of the hardware, the packet processing from the GPU to that. So that really optimizes it. We then have what we can control in the client. So we have technologies like cloud G-Sync. So if you have say a G-Sync enabled TV on monitor that you're playing on, we actually run it just like you would locally, where we can vary the number of frames being sent from the server based on the monitor refresh and sync that up. So all of these things contribute to that, click to photon latency. There are the two types of latency. You kind of got your network latency and your click to photon. So we really focus on reducing the click to photon there.
So not a single thing, but a lot of small things.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of things that kind of stack up to really, we want to squeeze that latency down as much as possible.
Perfect. And what kind of GPU performance can now Indian users expect from GeForce Now when it launches? And how does it adjust resources based on the games instead of sticking to a fixed subscription?
So we don't have anything to announce specifically on the subscription side.
Okay.
Nice try. So we're announcing we're going to bring the RTX 5080, the Blackwell servers. So that's one of the real things we're really excited about, is that we've got the latest and greatest. Like, this is something that we've only just finished rolling out in our other Nvidia run GFN regions. One of the things with GeForce Now is you can really sort of select how pair your streaming experience to your device. So it means we have cinematic quality streaming. So if you've got a 100 megabit internet connection, 4K, 120 hertz screen, get the best possible experience on that. 5080 is also able to do path tracing, multi-frame generation, all that kind of goodness that people would know from the desktop. But then you can sort of, if you've got lower bandwidth or a lower resolution screen, there's options that sort of step down from that.
Okay. Given that fast-paced shooters and competitor games are very sensitive to input lag, how close is GeForce Now to achieving the same latency as a native PC? And do you think that cloud gaming can never or ever fully meet the needs of hardcore competitive gamers?
Have you tried the demos?
I did, but then I want to know your opinion on that. By the way, the demos were really good. I could not interpret which one was which. So yeah.
It's actually the one thing that people are most surprised about is the responsiveness.
Exactly.
So we have a demo there running with arc raiders, 1080p, 360 hertz on a like high refresh rate monitor, and people walk up and like, oh, that looks really nice, and then kind of move the mouse and go, what?
Wait a
What? I think the basic nature of physics means that you're never going to get the exact number you get on a desktop PC. Right. We get it really close, and that experience, reflex alone, compared to running a game without reflex, you're getting much lower latency anyway. And so it really is a viable thing for competitive shooters. And you notice with the demos, we quite deliberately have a lot of shooters there, because that's what people are usually most skeptical about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cloud gaming isn't a new concept with several services that are already out there in the market. What technical advantage does Nvidia have with the GeForce Now that stands out with other compared to the gaming platforms?
So GeForce Now is very focused on giving gamers a GeForce RTX PC, but it's in the cloud. So it's, that's really the focus of it. One of the big things with Nvidia is that, we spend a lot of time kind of really focusing down and making our experience better. You see that with everything from path tracing or DLSS or reflex, or any of these technologies. So we're really driven to deliver the best experience. We're all a bunch of gamers. We want something that we'll use, and that's a real kind of core driving part of what we're doing. And so that's really where the focus is, and what we're kind of delivering.
Okay. In the next 3 to 5 years, does Nvidia envision GeForce Now to as a supplement to traditional gaming setups, or as a viable alternative that might eventually replace entry-level gaming PCs?
That's not really something I I think about. It's PC gamers are such a varied group of people that I was saying to my colleagues before, and I've said it a few times today, but I'm a lifelong PC gamer. I've been doing it for 35 years, which I'm old. But I my PC is like my hobby, my thing. Like and so there are some people like that that's their thing. The exciting thing about GeForce Now is it really enables people that maybe had a barrier to entry, like maybe wanted to try PC gaming or heard about that, Arc Raiders or something, and wanted to try it. It makes it a lot easier for them to get into it. So it's more about being complementary than being like one or the other.
Choose between the two.
Yeah.
Okay. Next two questions.
Yep.
Last, from your internal data, what do you think Indian audience is more inclined towards? Is this story-based titles or shooter games?
I think it's I don't have access to that data, but anecdotally from talking to colleagues and everything else, it is a bit of a mix. There is very much an interest in like competitive, like what we call esports titles, which so there's definitely that market, but then gamers are so varied.
All right. Next and the last question: can you explain the tiers on the system?
No. What I will say, it's easier than talking around it. But what I will say is that we're looking at doing a beta that is very much going to be India specific. It's not something that we're just copying and pasting from somewhere else. We're really looking at the market. We're going to do that. You'll hear more about that very soon. And yeah, as we progress towards full commercial launch, you'll definitely hear about pricing.
Okay, thanks a lot for talking to us.
Thank you.
So this is what Nvidia is up to. There's already Xbox Cloud in the market that claims to be the best, but let's see how the battle between the two is going to be.